Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Wednesday means it's a Wild Card Wednesday here in Instant Deck Tech land, and this week we are heading to Legacy for one of the crazier Legacy decks I've seen in a while. I would not have believed this is true, but apparently curses are a thing in Legacy. I'm calling this deck Curses. Comes to us from Kumala, although a couple of people have actually 5-0'd Legacy Leagues on Magic Online with the Curses deck. And before we get to the deck, wanted to mention really quick, only $1,300, I know, only $1,300, but by Legacy standards, this is like almost a budget option, and you can kind of trim back on the mana base maybe to make it even cheaper. So keep this in mind if you're looking for a relatively or comparatively cheap starting point into the Legacy format. A quick reminder before we break down Curses for Legacy. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So let's talk Curses, and we got to start by talking about the non-curse cards in the deck. So the key pieces of this deck are two creatures, Veteran Explorer, Academy Rector. You're probably wondering, what do these creatures have in common? And the answer is, they do something really powerful when they die. So Veteran Explorer, 1 mana 1/1, when it dies, each player gets to search for 2 basics and put them directly into play, which is very, very strong. Our deck tries to break the symmetry by playing a lot of basic lands. We got 8 basics. Most Legacy decks have very, very few basics. So if our opponent can search for lands, we're still in the long run going to get more benefit from Veteran Explorer than our opponent will. The idea, though, is that we play Veteran Explorer on turn 1, hopefully kill it on turn 2, and we'll talk about how in a minute, and use those lands from our Veteran Explorer to cast Academy Rector, and then Academy Rector looks pretty underpowered. 4 mana 1/2, not a very big threat. However, when it dies, we get to tutor for an enchantment, put it directly into play, which is kind of what we're built around, is using Academy Rector to search up some really, really expensive, really, really powerful enchantments. So how do we go about killing our Veteran Explorer and Academy Rector? And while we have a few janky ways we'll talk about later, the two big ones are Cabal Therapy and Evolutionary Leap. So Cabal Therapy, really key to the deck. The idea is we can play this on turn 1 perhaps, name Force of Will, or whatever our opponent could have to disrupt our plan, and then we can flash it back from the graveyard for free, with the cost being to sacrifice a creature. So even if our opponent counters the Cabal Therapy, the creature is still sacrificed, which means our Veteran Explorer dies, so we get the lands. Our Academy Rector dies, we get to tutor out an enchantment. Plus, we're naming something else to strip it out of our opponent's hand. Evolutionary Leap is sweet because not only can we play it and use it to sack our Veteran Explorer to find either more Veteran Explorers or Academy Rectors, but we can tutor it up with an Academy Rector if we need to, and just kind of go on this grindy sacrifice, get a bunch of enchantments, get all the lands out of our deck type of land. So those are our main sacrifice options. So once we get this set up, Veteran Explorer ramping us into Academy Rector, what are we tutoring up with Academy Rector? And this is where the curses come in. So we have Overwhelming Splendor, the ultimate one-sided humility, makes all of our opponent's creatures useless. They can't activate their abilities on stuff. Very, very strong. As far as finishing the game, we have Cruel Reality. So some Legacy decks don't play that many creatures, which means they're just taking 5 damage a turn, which means Cruel Reality closes out the game really quickly. If our opponent does have creatures, we're going to eat through them with the Cruel Reality and then go at our opponent's face with the loss of life. Dovescape just locks combo decks out of the game. If we're playing against Storm or something with a lot of counter spells, we get Dovescape. Whenever a non-creature spell is cast, it gets countered, and the creature's controller gets a bunch of bird tokens, so our opponent can't really cast anything. We can get a bunch of birds by casting our non-creature spells, plus we can still play Academy Rectors. We can still play Veteran Explorers underneath the Dovescape. And then Curse of Deathhold locks small creatures out of the game altogether. If there's a bunch of Goblin tokens from Empty the Warrens or something, this is an answer to just shutting that down altogether. We also have a couple of other enchantments. Pernicious Deeds gives us a board wipe. It is a way, in a pinch, we can kill a Veteran Explorer, kill an Academy Rector, although it's mostly there to deal with our opponent's stuff. And then Sylvan Library, enchantment that we can tutor up, also just play it on turn 2, generate some card advantage, dig through our deck. The rest of our deck, we got Lingering Souls as kind of a backup win condition. Very powerful, puts a bunch of bodies on the battlefield, can chump block why we're setting things up and go on the offensive once we kind of have the game under control. Otherwise, we have a few ways to kind of find our creatures. Diabolic Intent, super spicy. It is a 2-mana tutor. It's literally like a demonic tutor, except part of the cost is you gotta sack a creature. Well, normally that's a big drawback, but our deck wants to be sacrificing Veteran Explorers, wants to be sacrificing Academy Rectors, so for us, it's just a demonic tutor, which is a card that is not even allowed in Legacy. It's so powerful. Green Sun Zenith lets us get our Veteran Explorer for 2 mana, or on turn 1, gets us a Dryad Arbor, does a bit of ramping that way. Then we have a few removal spells. Collective Brutality is kind of nice because we can always use it to kill our own Veteran Explorer or Academy Rector while also duressing our opponent. Abrupt Decay, kind of a catch-all, as is Swords to Plowshares. As far as our mana base, Phyrexian Tower, super sweet. Sack Outlet also makes a bunch of mana. One of the cool things about this deck is thanks to Academy Rector and Phyrexian Tower making some extra mana, we can theoretically just ramp into Overwhelming Splendors, Cruel Realities, and so forth. We don't necessarily have to get them with Academy Rector, even though it's much easier to and faster to do it that way, we can theoretically just ramp into them as well. Otherwise, a bunch of fetch lands, a few of the original dual lands, and then a bunch of basic lands. Lots of forests, a couple of swamps, a couple of plains to tutor out with our Veteran Explorer. Sideboard-wise, we get a few backup win conditions. Sandworm Convergence gives us a 5/5 every single turn, also protects us from flyers if that's relevant. Leyline of the Void does double duty. It comes in to shut down graveyard decks like Dredge, also can be a backup finisher with Helm of Obedience, so we can activate it since Leyline of the Void creates a replacement effect where cards don't go into the graveyard. We just exile our opponent's entire library for 1 mana activation of Helm of Obedience. And of course, both Sandworm Convergence and Leyline, tutorable by our Academy Rector. Sigarda, Host of Hurons, just another big hexproof threat to close out the game. Then we have some removal. Toxic Deluge is a sweeper to the slaughter, takes advantage of the fact that we're getting a lot of stuff in our graveyard. We can technically turn on Delirium. Thoughtseize, Lost Legacy, and Gaddock Teeg to fight against non-creature decks primarily, combo decks, spell-based decks. Gaddock Teeg locks some stuff out of the game, and that is Curses for Legacy. And that's our Instant Deck Tech for today, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.